All right. Hello, Urban Faith. It's so good to be here again with you all. I am excited today to be sharing with you two founders, two creators, two entrepreneurs who are doing incredible work, integrating faith and works, ministry and marketplace. This dynamic duo, a husband and wife team, which is a fantastic thing. I'm so excited to have with us today Denya and Cellus Hamilton, who are sharing about their organization, Sow Tell, and their upcoming conference. So glad to be with you. Cellus and Denya, thank you so much for sharing with us on Urban Faith today.
Man, we're
Wow.
glad to be here.
Yeah.
This is really great, and we're excited.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And so, my first question for you all is just take me back. Who are you? What is Sow Tell? Why did you decide to found an organization, a movement that's dedicated to helping integrate faith and works?
Yeah, all right, I could start. So I am Denya Hamilton, originally from Fort Washington, Maryland. Went to Bowie State University, studied business administration marketing. I got saved at 19, right, when I was in Bowie. And I thought to myself, oh, now that I'm a Christian, I need to either work for a church or work for a Christian nonprofit or even become a missionary because I thought that those were the only jobs and careers that please God. And
Mm.
the Lord really met me in a kind way and just shared, no, I could actually use you in the marketplace where I've called you so you can use your degree. And here I am, 10 years later, using my degree in marketing. So my industry that I focus on is social media, and
Mm.
I've been doing that for the last 10 years. When I left my job at Habitat for Humanity in DC upon moving to New York, this was an opportunity for me to freelance and to start gaining more clients. And then after graduating, I'm sorry, after marrying this fine young fella, we to join forces and create Sow Tell, which is an umbrella company. Of course, it's a marketing company. So under Sow Tell, I specifically work on brand strategy and social media strategy and management. A lot of my clients are churches, Christian nonprofits, and also just entrepreneurs and powerful leaders of the faith. So I want to shout out one of my clients, Dr. Nicole Martin, who
Shout out Dr.
yeah,
Nicole.
so she
Yeah.
is impact officer at Christianity Today, and
Yep.
she also runs a ministry. And so it's just awesome to be able to use my gifts and talents in a way that glorifies God and to bring His word and just build the kingdom. So that's what I do for Sow Tell and who I am. Oh, I'm also a mother of a 2-year-old, and
Mm-hmm.
reside in East Harlem. So definitely different than Maryland, but just happy to be planted here as long as the Lord calls us here. What
Nice.
about you?
Yeah, and I mean, she killed it with what she does. I my path wasn't as linear. I've been doing music pretty much since I was young, so I really grew up with like a music background, specifically in Christian rap world. Um, and there was just a way where I noticed whenever I got opportunities to really teach artists about songwriting or music development, it was just a different level of passion that kind of came through, and I started recognizing that in addition to me just being a front-facing performer, that there was something that I had that would also help propel other people who had the same desire to step into the music industry as myself. And so naturally, what I do with Sow Tell and our side of the company is I pretty much do a lot of artist development and a lot of specific like songwriting classes and just ways to help people who are creative with music kind of step into their passions, brand themselves well on the music side, and just really be able to do that and learn how to make money off of that business while still keeping their integrity and navigating some of the different things that happen in the music industry.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. I mean, you all talked about just two things I think a lot of people have interest in. There's a whole lot of folks who are interested in engaging on social media, and especially young professionals. How is it that I build my brand? How is it I think about myself, as well as the creatives? And I just love that you guys are bringing those worlds together. Can you tell me a little bit about why it's important for us to think and talk about that marketplace ministry, and to think about ministry that goes beyond the four walls of the church? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, yeah, I think for me personally, I recognize that we are mostly at our workspaces more than we are in like the physical church spaces at times.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what we learn and develop as believers on Sundays, how can we actually take that with us the rest of the week, right? Whether that is in an office space or whether I'm talking to clients, whether they are Christian or non-Christian, how can I, integrate my beliefs into how I work, right? That means being a person of integrity. That means reflecting love, grace when it comes to coworkers or contractors that I may hire, and even clients as well. And so that's why I'm really passionate about this new space of the faith and work, is just really teaching people that, you know, God can use you right where you are, whether that is tech or whether that's finance, marketing, music, hospitality. And yeah, you just don't have to work at a church or be behind a pulpit to have impact. And so that's really the heart behind our new leg under Sow Tell, which is the There Will Be Fruit conference that we
Mhm.
love to share with you all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About you.
I mean, you said it. You said it in a really great way. Essentially, the place that we spend so much of our time, we have a responsibility to be witnesses there, to be witnesses in that context. And
Mhm.
so much of our work goes toward equipping people of how to do that and
Yeah,
how to exist faithfully there, where they are. So yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I think that it makes a lot of sense because we do spend so much time there. But I think that you all are just doing something really interesting. And I know one of those big things is this upcoming conference. Can you tell us about the conference? What is it that you guys are doing? Why did you decide to do this? We're coming out of a pandemic. People are trying to figure out even how to hold a conference. And you guys have been doing it now a couple of years in a row and are now taking it to the next step. Tell me about the conference.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to give a little context about it. During the pandemic, I was a part of this program here in New York called Gotham, and it was under Redeemer. It was the Faith and Work 9-month program where I had learned about the theology of work and why
Mm-hmm.
it's so important and how we can use it as worship unto God. The concept was great. I really appreciated that there was a space like this. However, going into it, I realized that the content and the audience were predominantly white and also white
Mm-hmm.
collar, which is not, which is not the community that we are currently serving, which is, of course, like the Black and Brown community. And so upon graduation, I felt a little discouraged because I also shared my experience with some of the other Black and Brown people in the program, and it was very similar. They felt like there were no Black and Brown Christian authors that were being utilized or referred to in the program as far as the content. And also, they felt like they couldn't show up as their authentic self. And so, this faith and work space really, I just wanted to, yeah, create a space for us and by us, which is really the heart behind the conference. You want
Yeah.
to add anything right now?
We essentially saw like a major gap
Yeah.
between access to this teaching, to
Mhm.
this equipping, to this celebrating. And we realized, okay, we who've been given access to know that not only there's a wealth of these programs out there, they're serving, white people all over in their context. We wanted to
Yeah.
be able to say, okay, if we see that there's a need for it and we see that it doesn't exist, and we know we're passionate about it and we're drawn to it, then why not just create it ourselves?
Right.
And essentially, we've been bridging that gap.
Hmm.
And to our knowledge, we are one of, if not the only, in the East Coast, faith and workspaces specifically for people of color.
Yeah.
And it is powerful because that automatically lets you know that we serve a great need.
Yeah. And so this is our fourth annual conference coming up on April 6th.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
And
Each
so
one is getting bigger and
it
bigger.
is. So we started in the pandemic in
Hmm.
2020, and we, of course, it was virtual, right? So the first two were virtual, and we also had the pleasure of Alan Reynolds speak as one of our as his speakers on one of our virtual events.
Yeah,
And been awesome just to again inspire. This is the tagline of our conference: since inspire, equip, and celebrate Christian marketplace leaders of color. And I do want to pause and share that even though we market ourselves as a conference for the Black and Brown community, everybody is welcome, even if they don't
mm,
identify themselves as a person of color. We just let them know that the content is strategically and intentionally for us and by us. And a lot
that's
of the
right.
people who aren't of color, they come in as a posture of humility and also
Mm,
learn. They just want to learn and support their community, because of course we all know that the kingdom is every tongue, every nation. So everybody's invited. Just letting you know that this content is strategically, for the Black and Brown community, and they love that. And so we appreciate everybody who has come thus far to support us in that way. And so, yeah, what else do you want to talk about the conference?
It sounds great.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds
so we're very excited about this year because what really is the bread and butter of the conference is what I say the three main things that we offer is we offer community, we offer learning, of course, with the panels. This year we're excited because we're actually having breakout sessions. That's one of the new things, because that's some of the audience from last year was like, I really want like a space catered to what exactly I'm going through. So we have some breakout sessions that talk about being a Christian entrepreneur. What does that look like? And also we have one on career pivots and transitions. There are some people who, you know, they're asking like, well, what do I do if I feel like God is calling me into a different industry, or actually calling me to start my own business? How does that look
yeah,
practically, spiritually, right? We also have a breakout for rest, how to not work well, the rhythms of rest, because I truly believe that rest and work go hand in hand. We see that throughout scripture as far as the Sabbath, right? We saw that God worked, but he also rested, even though he didn't
yeah.
technically need to. So, and he
Right,
commanded,
right.
a kind command. And so, really this year is again just referring back to those three pillars: inspire, equip, and celebrate. And we are also ending something new with the celebration networking mixer. So we'll have Christian comedian Matthew Hudson coming out as our host. He's from Atlanta, coming
Cool.
in. We'll have performances, including this guy over here, and vendors. And yeah, it's just going to be a really awesome time.
I think that that's so powerful, and I think that you speak. Urban faith reaches a need and an audience of folks who uh, aren't the white mainstream, right? That we get to hear about the mainstream, and we're intentional about that. And to hear that you all are not only taking on that audience, but trying to equip others so that we can continue to do this work and allow ourselves to be built up in our communities is huge. Uh, I've got a question I've got to ask for folks out there who are trying to understand. Okay, I feel like I want to be faithful. I want to be centered in doing what God's called me to do. But I have to engage with the world. I've got to work in workplaces, whether that's big corporations or trying to figure it out as an artist or entrepreneur. And they're trying to figure out how to marry those worlds together. Can you talk about what is it that what can we do? What advice would you give to somebody who's wrestling with how do I be faithful as a believer and at the same time be impactful in the place that I'm working? Do I have to give up my job? Am I calling to follow Jesus like the disciples, or is there some other way to do this faithfully?
Yeah, I'll let him talk about it because he's actually going to be speaking on one of our panels titled "How to Thrive in the Marketplace Without Compromise."
absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
great question. Great
Yeah.
question. Just a short little nugget that I'll share about what you've asked. is essentially, I think we really hone in on helping people first figure out their why. We often find it's easier to exist somewhere when you know why you're there, because on any given day, you're going to be bombarded with the many reasons that make you feel like you shouldn't be there. And if you recognize that that's going to be a part of you being where God's called you, that that's going to be a regular occurrence, then you actually begin to remember to stay rooted in the reason why you're supposed to be there, the relationships that you have around you, and what specifically you're to offer in those relationships, how you can use maybe some of the strategic things in your work that are not breaking protocol or policy, but as small opportunities to have intentional conversations, the ways that you can go beyond some of just the staple moments. We got our son running around, but so yeah, just we really start when people figure out their why, and just also learning how to anticipate those days when you may feel like you don't really know what you're supposed to be doing, and bring some normalcy to that. So that's kind of in a nutshell one of our pillars there.
So good.
I love that, and just thinking about how we can be intentional. I use that word all the time. I love it. I think that that's what we're called to. I made a case a little while ago for a congregation that holiness, which feels icky and more maybe traditional or old school, is really just intentionality, and that if we want to be faithful, we need to just be able to be intentional. So I love that you're going to be talking about that. Last question I have for you all. If I'm a young adult, a young professional, I'm trying to figure out how is it that I can make an impact? How can I find my way to integrate my faith and works? Can you talk about what the why is, what insight you would give for folks who are in positions like you all, who came from marketing or came from being an artist and are trying to figure out, how can I hone in and do this thing for God? What's your last insight to give those folks?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I think very similar to the why piece is remembering that our purpose remains the same, which is obviously, glorifying God, building the kingdom, but that also our assignments can change, right? And so not being married to, maybe the job, but just being married to the mission, which is, of course, making disciples, right? Glorifying God, worshiping Him, and building the kingdom, and helping others to do the same. I think that's really
that's good.
One insight that I could share.
Yeah, one thing I'll add to that is encouraging people to not get so caught up on what already exists. Like if you look at everyone around you and you feel like this is what I have to be, this is what the measure of success is, then often you may miss out on the uniqueness that is very necessary for you to accomplish what you were there for in the first place. And so helping people to have a healthy balance of what has inspired them, what has motivated them, that they have seen that does already exist. We don't try to reinvent the wheel, but also being comfortable with the fact that you are an individual, and that the best way that you can bring change to a place is not being an exact mirror image of everything that already is around you. So, yeah.
I love it. So I just want to thank you all so much for this time. And so you have to tell Urban Faith, when is this conference? How can I get connected? How can we, I just know that there's so many people out here interested in this kind of work. How can they get connected? When can they get these tools? Tell us about that.
April 6th, 2024, New York City at
West 83rd Ministry Center. You could find out about our speakers, about the agenda and everything at sowandtell.co/ there will be fruit. So again, sowandtell.co/ there will be fruit. You can also purchase tickets
on Eventbrite. But if you just go to sowandtell.co/ there will be fruit, you will find all the information you need.
Exactly. Yep. So we hope to see you there and that you join the other 150 plus Christian marketplace leaders of color who are passionate about Jesus and allowing their work to be a form of worship unto the kingdom.
Ooh, I like that. My work is a form of worship. I like that. Thank you so much, Denya Cellus. It's a great joy of mine to have you all here, and continued blessings in this awesome work that you all are doing.
Thank you so
Absolutely. Thank you so
much.
much for having us.